With all the kerfuffle around the launch of FM18 and giving away copies of it and ending old series, I don't remember the last time I thanked new Patreon subscribers. So I'm just going to go through the list of everyone who's newly backed the Patreon throughout October. Big thumbs up and thank you to all of you. So a big thank you to Timothy James Dodd, Andrew Hickman, Callum Young, Dominic Fincham, Ollie Gunnar Kvam, Nick Hoggard, John Howell, North831 and Hayley Hankins. Thank you very much to all of you for getting involved and joining the Kevolution. Your support makes a massive, massive difference towards allowing me to continue doing this as my full-time gig, and it's much appreciated. If you want to get involved in the Patreon, you can do that at patreon.com/Lollujo. Thank you very much for your support, everybody. Hello and welcome to part 5 of my Football Manager 2018 beta save with Monaco. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode we have two massive away games. We're away against Lyon in Ligue 1 and then we're away against Porto in the Champions League. Since you were last with me, form has continued to be really rather good. We've got an awful lot of green dots on here, and it's all thanks to our shiny new formation. We're still playing with the diamond. I've not touched it or amended it in any way since you last saw it. Some of the personnel are changing, but it doesn't matter because Falcao's still in the team and still scoring goals for absolute fun. So the league table at the moment, we're 4 points behind Paris Saint-Germain. That's not insurmountable. We can close that gap. We're only 8 games into the season. And then we've won our first 2 Champions League games, which leaves us top of our group, playing bottom of the group Porto in our next game. And if we win that, we've got 1 foot into the knockout rounds, only the halfway stage of the groups. So first up we've got Lyon, and this is the team that we're going to be playing against Lyon. It's a little bit injury hit, particularly up front where we've taken an injury to Steven Jovetic, who, what's his injury? I don't even remember now. He's got a calf strain, so he's going to be out for the next 2 or 3 weeks, so you're not going to see him at all today. George is still injured with his dodgy leg, a broken leg, so he's going to be out pretty much until the transfer window opens again around Christmas time. But other than that, we're closing in on having a clean bill of health across the rest of the squad. So our team to take on Lyon with our shiny diamonds. I've bigged the diamond up too much now. We're going to lose both these games. I feel it coming. We've got Subasic in goal, a back four of Congolo, Jemison, Glick and Sidibe, with Fabinho, Tielemans and Moutinho as our midfield, and then Lamar in behind Falcao and Carrillo, who has he started a game for us yet? He hasn't started a game for us all season. 26-year-old Argentinian who's been at Monaco for a couple of years. Doesn't exactly score regularly, but, you know, needs must. It's either him or Baldi or Diakabi going in up front. And although they're the ones I tend to bring on for the bench because I'm training them to be strikers, they're not actually strikers yet. So needs must. Let's use our actual strikers when strikers are what is needed. I mean, he might be rubbish, in which case we won't play him in the next game. But let's get into this one at the very least. And fingers crossed, take care of Lyon and stop Paris Saint-Germain pulling too much of a gap away at the top of the league. A couple of people have asked me about the view that I'm playing FM18 on. So we'll recap that in a second once we've done our little pre-match thing. There we go. So the view that we're playing with, it's the sideline view. If you go into settings, we're using the sideline camera, and then we're not amending the height or the zoom. A few people have said, why don't you try the TV one with the camera height low, aka the Benji. I don't like it. I prefer this. I like to be able to see all of the pitch, so I'm going to continue doing this for a little while until a better option presents itself. And I don't think the TV view with the camera down low is better. I think it's probably roughly the same, and it's just a matter of personal preference. I acknowledge you can't really see the ball very well, but you can't really see the ball very well on any of the views at the moment, and I'm hoping that's something that gets resolved as part of tidying up the bits of the beta that need tidying up. And by the time we get to the full game, fingers crossed, the ball's just going to be that little bit bigger so that it's easier for us to pick out. Today's been a little bit of a nothing game so far. We're closing in on half time and nothing's happening. Are we going to get any highlights still? Here you go, we do get a highlight. It's us on the attack as well, so if we could grab a goal in an uneventful first half, that's job done. So Fabinho to Moutinho, we're building slowly here, but Sidibe's on a bit of an overlap, crosses into Lamar, who forces a save out the Lyon keeper, and that's been the best chance of that first half forcing a good save out of that keeper, and it looks like we are getting one more highlight before the half-time whistle goes, and it's us on the attack again, although Lyon have won the ball back and have the potential to counter here, and counter they do, and we need to get a tackle in somewhere, and we do, but they win it back again. Is this just winding down the first half, or is something about to appear here? They are going to get a shot away, aren't they? But they don't, and it's Carrillo with a chance for a through ball for Lamar, and it's lofted over the top, and Lamar doesn't miss this time, and with 15 seconds left in the first half, we do grab a goal that we didn't really deserve. Looking at the stats, it's been a pretty even game so far, but the important thing is, when the chance presented itself, second time of asking, Thomas Lamar does score it, and it's a lovely finish. That one was a much harder chance than the one he missed slightly earlier in the game. But I'm not complaining. We're 1-0 up away from home against one of the better teams in the division. That is all win as far as I'm concerned. We are on the team analysis saying we struggled for possession in the opposition half a little bit. I can live with that. We're away from home. We don't necessarily need possession, as long as when we have possession, we use it well. And that's exactly what we've done in that first half. We've had 8 shots. Yeah, only 2 of them are on target. But, importantly, we're 1-0 up, and that's all Kev cares about. Lyon are having a bit more of possession. But again, away from home, I'm not that concerned about that. As long as they don't really start to boss the game in the second half, then I'm pretty comfortable with how things are going. And again, they seem to be playing a very conservative style. They've got a 4-2-4 on the go. We've just missed an absolute sitter. First clear-cut chance of the game is a poor miss. But they're playing a 4-2-4, but they're not playing an attacking style to go with it. So they're really not creating much of anything at all. I don't know if they're afraid of us or if they're just having a bad day. Right, let's get some changes going on up here. So Diakabi comes on. Carrillo's going to push a little bit further forward. And we're also going to take off Tielemans and bring on Sander Berger. I'm going to leave it there for now, with another substitution in our near future, I dare say. But those two will do for now, and it is Lyon with a corner. This is their first attacking highlight of the match, so they're probably going to score it just to upset me. Oh, for goodness sake. Genuinely, their first attack. The first shot we've seen them have comes on the 70th minute. Yeah, the game has been fairly even, and it's not exactly against the run of play, but when we've had a game with few highlights, and the ones that we've had have all been our attacks, and it's not, it looked like the ball just hit him and went in. Right, if there's any justice in the world, we go and grab another goal here. It's Congolo to Fabinho, and we've lost the ball, and they're going to break on us and grab another one, aren't they? And then I'm going to be very, very sad, because this will be against the run of play now, and that's a lovely move, and Subasic saves well. But we shouldn't be letting them carve us open like that. And I think they, having said they were playing a very conservative style, they've now switched things up to a 4-2-3-1 and are putting a little bit more pressure on us. They've bided their time, they've let us tire ourselves out, and now they're trying to strike. But it doesn't matter, because Sidibe has just had a cross loop into the goal. I don't know what's happened in the middle there. We'll have a look at it on the replay. But Moutinho has got that as an assist, unbelievably. And Sidibe crosses looking for Carrillo. And I don't know if he's blocking the... I mean, there's 4 players crowding around the ball there. Keepers flapping at it, heads flying everywhere, but no one makes contact. And we've gone back ahead through a bit of a fluke goal. And bearing in mind the way they equalised, I've got no issue with us scoring a fluke, because they scored a fluke 10 minutes before. Right, let's make our final substitution. We're going to take off Glick, bring on Raggy, bit of experience at the back. We'll just swap those two over, because Raggy on cover, not a good plan, because he's a bit slow. Why can't I swap them? There we go. Jemison's not much better, but we'll make do. Hopefully that isn't going to cause us problems at the back. We've got 10 minutes to see out the game. Obviously, a more tactical manager would now switch to some kind of counter-attacking system. That's not how I'm going to do things. We're going to try and score a third. And here we are pushing forward now. And it's Sidibe out on the right-hand side again. This time the cross rebounds off the left back. And Lyon have a break on. They've got a man free in the middle. They find him. And I didn't even see that one appearing from nowhere. But luckily, Subasic did. We're alive to it again. Snuff out the chance. And this is turning into end-to-end stuff now. The stats are very, very even between the two teams. And if Lyon had played like this all the way through, we'd have had much more of a match on our hands. For some reason, they decided to just soak up pressure for the first 70 minutes pretty effectively. It was only 1-0 to us at the end of that period, but if they'd have come at us all throughout the game, I think they'd have had a good chance. And I mean, it's still not over now, but Carrillo lumps it forward to Lamar, who, if he can find Diakabi in the middle, he can't, and he loses the ball. And now it is proper end-to-end again, and Lyon in behind and do equalise, and that time they deserve it because that was a well-worked goal. And that's the big disadvantage of the way we're playing at the moment, because as soon as we got the ball, we pushed everybody forward, apart from our two centre-backs, and you can see they're completely isolated. There's actually 3 Lyon players to 2 Monaco players there, and they made us pay. They've gone back to the 4-2-4 as well, so they're mixing things up a little bit, and they deserve the draw at this stage. So if we score again here, we're monsters who are mugging them. And it's Fabinho with the chance to shoot and forces a good save at the keeper. Matinho squares again. If they score here, that's dirty though, but Congolo covers, and I think that's probably that. But we are inexplicably getting yet another highlight, and it's us with the ball. Carrillo nods down, but it's intercepted. And are they going to break on us again? If they score a winner here, I'm not going to be happy. But now we've got the chance to counter on them. This is about as end-to-end as football gets. It's Diakabi in behind this time. Can he square it? He does, but it's cleared. And now with 5 seconds to go, it's Lyon on the attack again. I can't keep up with who's actually attacking, and the game is over. And I think, after all that, 2-2 is probably a fair result. And I acknowledge that a better manager would have won that game for Monaco. Oops. Hopefully we're not going to make the same mistakes against Porto in the Champions League. And that's who we're going to be playing now. No changes for the Porto game then, mainly because we don't have much in the way of squad depth. I mean, certainly up front, there's not really much else we could do. And Carrillo didn't have the worst game in the world. He was certainly more threatening than Falcao in that last game. Sander Berger is pushing for a starting spot, but he's not pushing very hard. So, at the moment, we'll just stick with what we've got. If we mess up again, like we did against Lyon, then we might consider changes. But remember, we did go into that Lyon game off the back of, 7 or 8 straight wins in all competitions. And Lyon are 3rd in the league. So to go away from home against a team pretty much on a level with what we are, I can live with that. I'm not going to call that messing up anymore. In fact, I retract my previous statement that we messed up against Lyon. It was a perfectly acceptable result. Just the way it happened left a little bit of a bad taste in the mouth. But hopefully we use this match as mouthwash and tastes delicious when we... I mean, this is getting away from me a little bit now, isn't it? Aye. Right, are we winning yet? The one issue with how small our squad is, well, one of the issues with how small our squad is, as you can see on the condition of the players, that with pretty much the same 11 playing week in, week out for 7 or 8 games in a row now in all competitions, we are starting to struggle a little bit for conditioning, and sooner or later we are going to have to start rotating, especially if we're going to go deep in the Champions League. And unless we have a massive mess up today, it's looking likely that we're at least going to be in the Champions League going through into sort of February, March time. So we need to start working on some more depth to the squad and starting to think in terms of a January shopping list. Now, I've seen from some of the comments people have been sending me on Twitter that there is the possibility of some extra money being made available to me in January, because there's 2 or 3 people on Twitter who've been contacting me saying, I'm managing Monaco too, got as far as January, they've given me extra money. So I'm hoping that's going to be a good sign. And Falcao puts us 1-0 up. He was very quiet against Lyon, but he's loud again today. It's his 10th goal of the season. Did it just say he scored against his former club? I didn't realise he used to play for Porto. Oops. Kev shows his lack of knowledge again. That is a nice, tidy little finish. You can actually see his hair properly, which I've never noticed that you can actually see players' proper hair in FM before. I don't know if that's a new thing this year, or a new computer thing, or a new camera angle thing. But either way, you can see he's got the cool guy shaved sides with the just sort of blodge of hair on top, which I'm impressed. I like, and not with his hair. His hair's ridiculous, but the fact that we can see it in game is marvellous. Right, just keep doing what you're doing, lads. There's your half-time team talk. We've had our one clear-cut chance. We scored it. We haven't had much in the way of other chances. Porto edging possession ever so slightly. We have been quite efficient with our shooting. 4 shots, 4 on target, but Porto have had more shots than us. They've had more of the ball. Oh, what's happened? Who's injured? Torre's injured. Forgot I'd actually put him in the team. Shows how awake I am. Why is it? I just want to bring on Park. and swap them over. The reason he's in the team is because the left back, whose name escapes me, was suspended. So there was a change. This is what happens when you go and make a cup of coffee between the two matches. You forget what's going on. This never used to happen when I used to have to make the videos in 20 minutes after the kids had gone to bed. Now I've got all afternoon to do it. I'm getting sloppy in my old age. What am I going to do? I almost picked up a Pac-Man figure and started talking to it. I mean, that's the sign of the beginning of the end. And now, goodness me, we've conceded an equaliser against a team that up until now had been the worst team in the group. Now, Porto obviously aren't a bad team. So that's a nice big stand. Look at this. I mean, this ground is huge. Porto obviously aren't a bad team, but still, I'm going to cop out the same way I did against Lyon and say going away to Porto and coming away with a draw, that's not a bad result in the grand scheme of things. It's not like we're Barcelona. We shouldn't be expected to go and win every game we play in Europe. But we did, was it Feyenoord we went away and beat? Or Roma? I forget which one was the away game we've had so far. I think it might have been Feyenoord. And we did look really, really good in that game. And if Porto score here, then suddenly all excuses go out the window and we have to start having a little bit of a think and trying to decide how well this system works without Jovetic in there as a second sort of top quality striker, because it does rely on scoring more than the opposition. We've not been particularly solid defensively the whole time we've been using it, but it didn't matter because we were scoring lots of goals, whereas without Jovetic up front, we're not scoring as many goals. Even though he wasn't scoring many of them, he was certainly contributing. And it does start to become a problem if we stop scoring goals. Diakabi might be the answer to that. Perhaps Carrillo's not the man. Let's try Diakabi for the last 20 minutes. He's a natural at being a complete forward on support, so he's my kind of forward. Let's see if he can muster up a chance for Lamar or Falcao around him. See if we can pop a goal in from somewhere, but it is Porto who've got the highlight. They've squared the free kick and we had absolutely no one there defending, and we have got away with that a little bit because that was just really poor defending of a set piece, and set pieces are something I definitely need to go and have a little look at. I finally set my set piece takers up, which I never did at any point in FM17, but I know set pieces are a little bit broken at the moment in the beta, so I've gone that far. I think I need to go that bit further and actually set up some proper set piece instructions. I just don't really know how to do it, so I might have to have a little bit of a play, trial and error, or try. Has anyone made a tutorial about it yet? I might have to have a little look to see what's out there to teach me how to do it. And we've now gone 2-1 down against Porto. Oh, we're going to lose this game. This has not been the... I mean, I called it. I said at the start that it's all been going too well. I've bigged up the tactic too much. The wheels were going to fall off. And lo and behold, the wheels are off, everybody. And perhaps we need to have a little bit of a rethink before the next video. But here's our chance to grab an equaliser, and it's Sidibe trying to play it forward for Diakabi. It doesn't quite get there, but Tielemans plays it back out to Sidibe, who beats his man. Cross comes into Falcao, and we grab a very important equaliser. And that all came from having Tielemans moved over into the playmaker position, because he made that with his vision, just slotting it out to Sidibe. It's a lovely pass. And that's something that, again, there's been 2 or 3 people in the comments now who suggested get Tielemans off a box-to-box midfielder. He needs to be a playmaker. But then so does Moutinho. We don't really have a box-to-box midfielder. And I like having a box-to-box midfielder. But that's an example of what Tielemans can do if given a playmaker role. So perhaps Sander Berger in as a box-to-box with Tielemans as a playmaker. Maybe drop Moutinho deep. Or pushed, I don't know. Perhaps this is how we start rotating. But I mean, we're mugging them now. This is, I feel like a bully. Sidibe with the cross again. This time Diakabi converts. We're 3-2 up with 8 minutes to go, and perhaps Diakabi's answering the question I posed earlier on in the game about where we find the goals from, because that's a nice little finish. And Sidibe has been an absolute monster out there. Basically on the right wing today. 2 assists now. He's having a cracking game. I tell you what, brings back some happy memories having a right back doing that to teams. And with 5 minutes to go, hopefully we don't get punished for not dropping back into a counter-attacking system or something again, just like we did in the last game. But 6 minutes of added time. We had 5 minutes in the last game, 6 minutes in this one. Is anyone else noticing this in the beta? Huge amounts of added time. I don't know. I don't even know if you'd call it a bug or if it's just one of those things. But that seems like an awful lot of added time. And Park is going to pick up a yellow card here, I think, for just pulling back the Porto player. It shouldn't be any more than that. It didn't look like it was a bad foul. No, there you go. He's just... I mean, in old school talk, it was a professional foul. He knew what he was doing. He deliberately just sort of snuffed out their chance at an equaliser. Good work, Park. And there we go. We pick up a win against Porto. We now have 9 points from the first 3 games in the Champions League. So edging ever closer to qualification for the group stages. And we're second in the league. It's, after a few wobbles throughout the episode, it's all still going pretty well. If you have enjoyed that video, please make sure you pop a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. And thank you very much for watching.